So this whole time, I thought I was playing music, and no, I wasn't. Anyway, good afternoon, Abnormals, and welcome back to the Ministry of Abnormality YouTube live broadcast. I'm your host, O Abnormal, and today is Wednesday, April 5 of 2023. Kind of got a little lost there. Hello, how are you? Hello, Mao, how are you? Where's my glove? Mao, where's my glove? How is everybody? Welcome to the show. You ate the glove? That's disgusting, Mao. I don't think I've washed that glove this year. So, I mean, I have to. Don't get me wrong. I do wash it sometimes, but I don't think I've washed it this year. So yeah. But you ate it. You ate it. Here's another glove that I have not washed this year. So, let's just go with that. Let me. I normally forget to wash them, but yeah, they get pretty dirty. Like, I clean my monitor like every other day. And every single time I'm like amazed at how dirty it gets. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing like in front of this monitor? Okay, I did not want the... Oh, I see what's going on. I need to open Synapse. Yeah, well, like I'm dirty. How's your Easter week going, Mo? How's your Easter week going? Well, it's that, Semana Santa, or whatever you want to call it. I enjoy not having to go to the university, that's for sure. Other than that, pretty standard. To be honest, not really much to get excited about. Okay, wait, let me confirm which image I have to do. I don't want to get started on an image and have it not be the one I have to do. Hello, Felix. Okay, let's see. Now let me just confirm which image I have to do. Well, there's still going to be some. There's going to be plenty of places open, Ma. I mean, it's not like it used to be. Wait. Option 1. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I was checking what I have to do today. Thomas Vincent, hello. I love you too. No, I used to love the way this week used to go before. Okay. So for those of you watching that don't know what I'm talking about, so the country we live in. Wait, let me mute something here. Okay. So the country we live in is very much a Catholic country. It's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be like none of that stuff, but it is. It is. It is a Catholic country, and this week is Easter week. You know, we pretty sure we kill Jesus tomorrow or something like that. So the whole week is just vacation for most people. But tomorrow and Friday are holidays, and several years back it used to be that it became a ghost town. Like, you would not find anything open, nothing would happen, anything at all. But nowadays it's pretty normal. It's just like any other holiday. You know, a lot of places are open, stuff like that. You guys who were bored in the past weeks without drawing, that I kind of started to do it again by the book, reference, color picking, everything else, having a blast. Hey, well, that's great. That's great. I mean, as long as you're having fun, that's kind of, I mean, that's really all you can ask for. Okay, so what we're gonna do today is we're gonna do this image for Traveler RPG, and in this image we're gonna have several different alien species kind of walking in a spaceport. Unfortunately, I cannot include this guy here on the left, which was like a bear. I wanted to have him in the image so much, but no, they told me no bear. They wouldn't, like, apparently it's not like of the species that they would be like traveling around and at spaceports and stuff like that. I was just in love with the idea of having just a bear walking around. Okay, so I have a nose to the tablet grinded out day, so I won't be chatty, but oh, well, it's so nice to say hello, Sabrina. So nice to see you, beautiful. Painting the drawings, to draw a very short sketch and then throw colors at it. You don't know if it's a good thing to look at photos and replicate them. I hope there is no copyright thing involved. They paint a photo from a reference. No, as long as it's an exercise. You know, as long as it's an exercise, you should be pretty much all good. Okay, let's get... So how's everybody's week going? Yeah. Like I said, I mean, when it comes to academic exercise, and when I mean academic, I don't mean that you have to be at the university. I just mean that, you know, when you're doing something for learning purposes, you can pretty much, I mean that's almost expected that you're gonna, you know, be using, you know, be doing those kind of exercises. So in general, people are okay with that kind of thing. I don't know if you've ever seen on Pinterest that sometimes when you look at a photo on Pinterest, it shows you like different people that have tried to draw that photo. So what's good about the week, Mo? Been productive, working on things and stuff. Awesome. Yeah, yeah. When you include those kind of specifications, that's always considered best practice. Another kind of good idea in those kind of situations is if you um, also link to your source. So, for example, if you're doing a study from a photo, it's considered um, kind of just good manners to not only say that you're drawing from a photo reference, but also include the photo reference so that people, first of all, can see what kind of job you did. There's that. And second, so people can, kind of see the original. That is kind of one of the best practices you can do when referencing anything that isn't yours. It's include a link to the actual thing. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Some people even study from other art, but normally when people do that, they try to keep it, um, well, not necessarily classic art, although that is a very common one. That people do it with classic art. Uh, but you'll say like, hey, I did this study off of Rembrandt's image and stuff like that, and yeah, so you just include the original. It also helps contextualize a lot. You kind of help people kind of see what you're going for. Um, yes, 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 yes. No, that is what it's called, the master study. Uh, doing a study on real life photos since a drawing can replicate the mistakes the guy did. Well, yeah, but the point of doing a master study, when like the point of studying from somebody else's is not so much to study. It's like not so much. Okay, so there is a lot to be said in that you should do. Okay, you should reference photos. But references are something that you're going to use all the time for everything. You never stop using references. When it comes to studies, there's many, many different things you can study. And, you can be using references and it's not necessarily a study, right? Because, hello, Nightcout. To study implies that you are learning something, and that's of course without going into the romanticism of we're always learning and stuff like that, right? To study implies that we're learning something, that we are in that process. So when you use references, you're not necessarily studying, but you can use references in a study, if I'm making any sense. On the other hand, when you study, there are many other things you can study, and while some of them you would use photographic reference, for example, a lot of times your study, especially when you're doing a master study, and that's kind of the whole point of a master study, is to try and figure out how they did it, right? So you're trying to figure out, like, for example, when it comes to lighting. So when it comes to lighting, I like Rembrandt's work. So when you do a master study from Rembrandt, you're trying to sort of figure out what it was that Rembrandt was doing with lighting. And you can do a master study of color with an impressionist artist. So you grab Monet and you're trying to figure out how it was that Monet was doing their thing, and so on and so forth, right? So there's many reasons to, to study off of another artist when you're just trying to figure out what it was that they were doing, and how it was that they arrived where they arrived. This week has been weird. Yeah, mostly I'm gonna go with weird. This week has been weird. It's been, yeah, since I don't have to go to the university this week, it's just been weird. I think that's really my evaluation of this week, is that it's been weird, but I've had a lot of work, so, To be honest, I don't really understand. Should I paint a whole real-life picture, or should I just use parts of them for references for something created by me? And I see a question from Simon. Hello, Simon, by the way. I remember you. Okay, I'm going to answer Felix's question, and then I'm going to answer Simon's. Okay, so, Felix, remember that when you're studying, right? So, to study, you need to know what it is you're studying for, right? So, if you are studying off of a photo, you have to know what your intention is. So is your intention to reproduce the photo? Are you aiming to have it look as much as the photo as you can? Or maybe your intention is to work on a specific part of the photo. Maybe you want to grab the lighting, or maybe you're trying to do a tree as it shows up in the photo. Or maybe you're just trying to paint the whole situation in the photo. The thing is, when you're studying, once you got what you need, you should move on. And the reason is because there's always more stuff that will distract you from what you're trying to learn. So, for example, if I'm grabbing a photo and I'm just trying to get the lighting, once I got that, well, of course, if I'm having a lot of fun, I can continue, but, it's always a good idea to kind of stop there and sort of focus on what it was you were trying to get out of it. Okay, so now I see the question from Simon. How important do you think it is to master multiple styles as a concept artist? Do you need to be able to do the entire spectrum between super stylized and realistic? That is a good, difficult question. So I am a big fan of specialization, right? I'm a big fan of having your thing and not necessarily limiting yourself to it, but definitely being aware of where it is that you have an area and where it is that you don't. Now, that being said, adaptability is important, right? Adaptability is important. So you can't be so narrow in your focus that you just, that unless it's something very, very, very specifically tailored to who and what you are and what you do, then you won't be able to cover it. So I think the answer to your question is actually somewhere in the middle. I don't think it's a good idea to try to be able to cover every single style that there is, which, I mean, aside from being impossible, we know that. But for example, I don't do manga, right? I don't do manga. I like manga. I enjoy manga and anime and stuff like that, but I don't do it. And there's really no point in me trying to do it, right? There's really no point in me aiming for that. On the other hand, I can sort of dance a little bit in between. Sorry, give me a second. I just got a message here. I can dance a little bit in between a certain amount of stylization and a certain amount of realism. But at the same time, I am definitely not hyper realistic. And so I think it's just important to be aware of where your limitations are and what you can cover and what you can't, right? Like what is your area and what isn't. So it's not like 100% narrow. You know, I have a spectrum of what I can cover, but at the same time, I know where I'm not going to get myself into. And yes, that does limit my range a little bit. But I do think, and this is something that I believe very, very firmly, I do think that it's very important for us to understand that we can't cover all the work in the world, right? Like there's definitely going to be stuff out there that's just not gonna fall under what we do, right? So as long as you're aware of that and you're okay with that, then all you have to do is kind of make sure that you're, you know, that you can adapt a little bit, you can move around a little bit, but you definitely need to have your style and you need to have what makes your work special and unique. If everything I said just sounds like I'm kind of like, okay, so you have to be open, but a little bit closed, but not too closed, but not too open. But then it's because that's the way it is, right? Like, normally it happens in a very natural way. Like, for example, when I'm looking at you know, places to send my portfolio and stuff like that, more often than not, I'll come across games that I just go, yeah, I don't see myself in that, right? Or like if I look at a game and I think to myself, oh no, like working for this would also involve me learning the style, then I know it's probably not for me, right? I know it's probably not something I would fit in with. But at the same time, there's a lot of stuff that I look and I say, okay, maybe that's not exactly what I would work with, but I'm pretty sure I could do that. Just this morning, I sent my portfolio to a company making a game that's kind of in the style of Mobius. I don't work in the Mobius style, but I like it very much, and it's not that far, right, from what I can do, right? You know, I just have to adapt my coloring a little bit. It's something that I would definitely be very, very, you know, that I could definitely adapt to very easily. But every now and then, the company that makes Genshin Impact is looking for artists, and that's one I don't apply to. Like, why would I apply to that? That has nothing to do with what I do, right? Then there's also not just stylistic and visual terms, but there's also in terms of content. I, for example, tend to not apply to cute stuff, right? You know, games that would be cute and games that would be for children and stuff like that. I don't think I fit in to those kind of things, right? But you know, you have to basically make your peace with the idea that the more you specialize, you know, the more specific you get, the more difficult it is for you to wait. Did this thing reset again? The more specific you get, the more difficult it is going to become for you to find a job. That's why it's always a good idea for people to. Why are you not flipping? Okay, that is why it's very important for people to try to not specialize very early in their careers, but at the beginning, sort of see what's what and see what you like and all that kind of stuff, because eventually you start to narrow it down, and the more you narrow it down, the more difficult it's going to become to get stuff. But since you are definitely at a point in your career where you would be, where you have a larger portfolio, where you have more in terms of clients and stuff like that, then it's not going to be that much of a problem, right? Nightcal, do you have individual portfolios for different type of work you go for? Yes, you can. I don't. But thank you, Simone. And thank you, Felix. Have a good one. Yeah, enjoy. But you should. Let me put an example. For example, remember when I said that just today I sent my portfolio to a place that's making a Mobius game? No, sorry, a game in the art style of Mobius? Well, if you look at my portfolio has absolutely nothing to do with video games. My portfolio is 100% a tabletop role-playing game portfolio. And that's not bad, but when I send my portfolio to a video game company, then it's really not weird if I don't get the job. Right? Like, it's really not weird if I don't get the job. I sent a tabletop role-playing game portfolio to a video game company. Nat class. Yes, on a Wednesday today, because I missed last Friday and then I missed yesterday, and I was like, oh, come on, no, let's stop missing and get some streaming done. So, and I have to, make this image for Mongoose anyway, so yeah, so like, for example, I doubt I'm gonna get that job, but I know why, right? Like, I know what I did. I know that I sent my portfolio to a video game company, and that I basically sent a tabletop role-playing game portfolio to a video game company. Ideally, if I want to work in both, I should have a portfolio for video games, and I should have a portfolio for tabletop role-playing games. That would be the ideal, right? But making a portfolio takes time. Like, making a portfolio takes plenty of time, and I ain't got that time. So I just send my portfolio to places where I know I'm not going to get the job. I honestly don't even know why. When I know that I'm not going to get it because my portfolio is not adequate for that. But I do it. I do it anyway. And the difference is this. Like, I can tell you the difference. I have been working in tabletop role-playing games for the past 2 years. I send my portfolio. Okay, wait. This is gonna sound very, very, like, ego-filled. It is not, okay? I'm just kind of, like, this is my actual experience, and I'm just being honest. So, over the past 2 years, I have been working in tabletop role-playing games, and my portfolio is a tabletop role-playing game portfolio. On average, I send my portfolio out to video game companies 2 or 3 times a week. I'm not exaggerating. Like, 2 or 3 times a week, I have sent my portfolio out to video game companies over the past 2 years. And sending 2 or 3 times, sometimes more, my portfolio over the past 2 years to video game companies, I have gotten one response from a company that wasn't really a job. It's more like a place that handles freelancers, and if they find something for you, they'll let you know. And one place that was interested in talking to me more about, they did NFT stuff. And one place that answered back but then never continued. That's it. That's it. That's all I've gotten over the past 2 years of sending my portfolio several times a week to video game companies. The second week of January of this year, I said, maybe I should send my portfolio to some role-playing game companies, to some tabletop role-playing game companies. I sent out 5. 3 of them answered and gave me work the very next day. And that's why I said, like, it's gonna sound like it's super filled with ego. It's not. It's just my portfolio is a tabletop role-playing game portfolio. When I send my portfolio to tabletop role-playing games, it works. When I send it to video game companies, it doesn't. It has nothing to do with my qualities as an artist. It has nothing to do with how good or how bad I am. It's just a tabletop role-playing game. You can see the difference when you send it to tabletop role-playing games. And it's the same thing with anything. So if I was super serious about getting a job in video games right now, ideally I should make a portfolio for video games. But I really like working with tabletop role-playing games. It has its pros and cons. There's some things that I prefer about working with video games. There's some things I prefer about working with tabletop role-playing games. So that is definitely something that I see a lot when people show me portfolios and ask me about their portfolios and stuff like that. And I will always quote Aerosmith, because I think it's always good to quote Aerosmith. But from the Prelude to Eat the Rich, from the album Eat the Rich, Aerosmith says, "You have the right key, but the wrong keyhole," right? And a lot of times I think we forget that, yes, sometimes it's not that we have bad art. It's not that we have a bad portfolio. It's not that we have the bad skill set or anything like that. A lot of times it's just that we're sending our stuff to the wrong place, right? Art is not universal. And a lot of times we're trying to get our art into the wrong company. A good YouTube video would be if you list those differences between working for video games or role-playing tabletop games. Let me write that down, because I was planning to record a video this week, and I have several ideas. Where is my notebook? Here we go. Let me write that down. Now, where's my Sharpie? Here we go. Don't send your ducks to Eagle School. Um, well, thank you for the idea. I'll definitely put it on my list. I have put it on my list. But yeah, like that's definitely one thing that I think we kind of tend to forget a lot, that we, that art is not universal, and that it's not really a bad thing if it isn't. Universal art, aside from not existing, would be extremely bland. There's nothing worse than when people start trying to make art that appeals to everything and everybody. It's just the worst. Like that just doesn't work. Um, you gotta, you gotta be aware of where you're going with your art, and what you want it to be, and you can normally see that in a portfolio, right? Like there's portfolios where you can definitely see that the person working on the portfolio just doesn't really know where they want to go with it. And I think one way to kind of do that is, you should be able to ask yourself, like, okay, where do I see my art, right? Like where do I think it fits in, and stuff like that. And while a lot of people would say that, like, oh, and if it doesn't fit anywhere, it means you're unique and special, and like, no, 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 no. Like, they're if we're being honest, if we're being practical, if we're being, some truth tea here, like, no, these things need to have applicability, right? Like, you need to be able to see them in something, and you have to be able to see them in something, because when you send a portfolio to somebody, you're basically asking them to do that, right? Like when you send your portfolio to, I think I screwed up this hand. Yeah, I think I screwed up that hand. Just gonna get rid of it. When you send your portfolio to a potential employer, you're basically asking them to do that. You're asking them, hey, imagine my art in your game. But if you can't imagine your art in their game, how are they gonna, right? I've mentioned this before. There's an artist, I don't like him very much, and I'm not like, this isn't a controversial opinion, like, oh shit, O's gonna spill the tea about an artist he doesn't like. No, because it's not even that I don't like his art very much. He was just mean to me. And hey, that doesn't mean he's a bad person or anything. Maybe he was just having a bad day that day or something like that. Although I met him at several conventions and he was mean to me at all of them. His name is Scott Kurtz. He does a webcomic called PvP, and he's very, very big, very, very accomplished, very, very famous, all that kind of stuff. Super mean to me when I met him. But I don't think that's like super controversial, because as far as I understand, he's been very mean to a lot of people. But anyway, I'm a big proponent of the idea that just because somebody's not nice doesn't mean they're wrong. And in the case of Scott Kurtz, I really like his cartooning style. He has like this very well developed cartooning style and all that kind of stuff. I think he's really good. And hey, you don't have to be nice to be good. You just have to be good. Anyway, one time he was giving a lecture, and people were asking him the same questions that they always ask. How are you going to, what advice do you have for people that are trying to get into this industry, all that kind of stuff. And he said something that rubbed people the wrong way. But it's something I agree with very, very much. And I can't really quote it word for word because I wasn't there, and also because I don't remember. But what he said was basically, yeah, a lot of you are going to have to deal with the idea that, there's a lot of things you can do, there's a lot of places you can go, all these kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, a lot of you are just going to have to get better. And what he said, I think maybe it's the way he said it, because what he said, the way he said it was basically that most of the people there were simply not good enough for the job that they wanted to get. So I'll agree, he didn't really say it in the best way, but I understand the point he was trying to make, right? I understand the point he was trying to make. The idea that if you're trying to get into what is basically a skill-based profession, you gotta bring the skills, right? And this is a skill-based profession. This is not... I mean, I don't know if we could argue that all professions are skill-based. I don't really... like, off the top of my head, I can't really think of... Oh, wait, he doesn't have thumbs on that hand. Okay. Or does he? Wait, I think he does. Okay. So yeah, like, I really don't know if there are any professions that are not skill-based. But you guys get the point I'm trying to make, right? Like this is a profession where skill is what determines a lot of things. Not all things, unfortunately, but it does determine a lot of things. And if you're trying to get into a skill-based profession, well, you have to bring the skill. And we've spoken about this before, because that's one of the reasons I want to be like the YouTube artist that is not all about positivity and all about feelings and do whatever you like and as long as you're happy. And no, I'm sorry, I'm gonna quote my good friend Key Inc. here again, which honestly, if you're listening, Key Inc., first of all, love you. Second, one of my favorite art related quotes of all time, of absolutely all time. Key Inc. once came into the chat room and said, you can't treat your profession like a hobby and then expect to get professional results, right? Like, it's definitely okay to have a hobby, but then you gotta be okay with it giving you the results of a hobby. Nightcow, I love it how you type in kappa like we're still on Twitch. Yep. Not on Twitch anymore, baby. What is that? Yeah, so a lot of artists, we kind of deal with that. Um and a lot of times I'll find like artists that are just trying everything they can to not, you know, do what they need to do. So you'll find artists that will just do anything to avoid drawing hands. When the truth of the matter is, like, sorry, you just gotta sit down and draw hands for a while and study them and stuff like that. And the whole idea that, like, yeah, you gotta be okay with just sucking. Okay, that sounds really wrong, but it is what it is. Like, you just gotta be okay with being uncomfortable, and not being the best and all that kind of stuff. Like Jake the dog says, sucking at something is the first step to being kind of good at something, or sort of good. I don't know. I'd have to watch the specific episode. That's what you think when you hear "love yourself how you are." Okay, could you expand on that? I don't hear you have to work hard. I hear be okay with being bad because that's the only way you get good. I agree that would be the healthiest way to take that saying. But I think we can also agree that that's not the way most people take it, right? Like I would definitely be more into that if that was the way that people took it. But I think we can both agree that's not the way people take it, right? Maybe some people, but definitely not most people. I think I think currently we have this sort of dilemma that you see a lot. I'm not gonna go boomer and blame social media on it, but I do think that it is sort of a modern day issue. Uh, in the sense that I don't think we have right now that balance of I don't think we have that balance of there is a world of nuance between hating yourself and thinking you don't have to change anything, right? And I think in between is that ideal balance of like I don't hate myself, but I definitely have to improve, right? Like I don't hate myself, but I have to improve. And that, I mean, that goes with everything, right? Like but the reason I was so like talking so much about how like I don't know if it's a social media thing and I don't want to go all boomer and blame social media on it is because I don't think it's new in that regard, right? How can I think it's a very difficult balance to achieve, like that equilibrium of I like my body, but I want to get in shape. For example, to take it to like that very common one, like, like, yeah, I don't hate what I see in the mirror, but I want to go to the gym and get in shape. It's so difficult. And it's the same thing with art, right? Like, I like my art, but I want to improve it. But it's very difficult to want to improve your art if you don't hate it, right? I can tell you what I do. I can tell you what I do, for example, with my art, when it comes to that balance between hating it and improving it. But unfortunately, that doesn't work for people that are just starting out. Because for me, I use what I call good enough. And so for me, it's like I am constantly questioning my art, and I'm constantly looking at my art and thinking, ugh, I wish I could do better. I wish I could do other things. And, the world we live in doesn't help, where we're constantly looking at other artists and thinking, I wish I could draw more like this person, or I wish I could draw more like that person, and all that. But then I make a living off of my art, right? Like I it pays the bills. I get clients. I have work to do. So good enough, right? like I want to improve. I want to get better. I want to I want to be as good as an artist as I can be. But hey, I mean, as much as I want to improve it, I'm doing something, right? I mean, this thing is paying the bills, right? Like, so that I realize that it's a very kind of risky position to put myself in, because it could all fall apart so easily. Like as soon as it's not paying the bills for whatever reason, like the whole thing falls apart. But it depends on what you're doing with your work. If you're drawing as a hobby, absolutely love everything you do because you're having fun. And if you aren't having fun, then stop. But if you're applying for jobs or in an art job, you can't fall back on love your art how it is. If your portfolio isn't made for the job, or your boss has critique, it's impossible for me not to talk and chat. But you are hitting it very, very much where it is. And but I think one way to look at it is, let's try this other point of view, right? We always think about the questioning of our art, because it's the most common way of questioning our art, on the doubt if we are good enough, right? So basically, we're always wondering if we suck, right? Juan Guerra, hello. Haven't seen you for a while. How are you? Right? So we're always kind of looking at it from the point of view of, am I good enough? And, fair. That's probably the most common way that we see it and that we think about it. But let's, for a second, reverse that, right? Because a lot of times we forget that, just like constantly wondering if we suck is something that like Sabrina says, if you're looking for a job or if you're working, you definitely want to be constantly pushing towards being better. On the other hand, if you're working, you also have to sometimes be okay with that not all work is your best work. Just today. Oh, and by the way, Juan Guerra, I'm not ignoring your question. I'll actually answer that in a sec. Just today, I was listening to a video from a guy that does independent comics, right? And he said something that I thought was fascinating. What he said was that you can tell when a comic book page is made as a sample. What he meant by that is that, like, when you look at portfolios of people that have worked in the comic book industry and have been working in the comic book industry for a while, they'll just give you samples of pages that they made in their job. But when you're looking at a person that is just trying to start out in the industry, they will send you sample pages that they just made as samples. And he was explaining that you can immediately see that they're samples. And the reason he gave is that they are too good. And that caught my attention. He said, you can see that these are pages that a person sat down to work on without a deadline, without any pressure other than just, I have to make the best page possible to impress people. Because when you actually make a page for the industry, you don't have all the time in the world. You have to cut corners. You have to save time. You can't over detail everything, right? Like, so what he was saying is that he would see these sample pages and they were just too good. Like overly detailed, overly rendered. Every single piece of the page looks like you put hours and hours and hours to it, and that's just not how it works, right? So I think that when we question if we are good enough to be professional, a lot of times we fail to take into account that we also need to be able to let it go and just, you know, sometimes it's like, yep, this is not my best image, but it's good enough and it's gotta go. And that's something, but you know, at a professional level, that is also something we have to learn to deal with. We have to learn to be very demanding of ourselves and always be pushing ourselves to be better artists, but at the same time, we have to learn to just sometimes go, yeah, you know, not every image that I make is like a complete demonstration of my ultimate skill. No, sometimes we don't have a good idea of what good enough is. I think we might, you know, if I definitely think that we can measure when an image just gets the job done. And that's it. Like, if the image gets the job done, it gets the job done. You know, if an image gets the job done, that's it. That's what we need. And sometimes we have to let that go. Now, before I continue, Juan, I left Twitch for YouTube because I saw no future on Twitch. I see no future on Twitch, so I left Twitch for YouTube because I see much more of a future on YouTube than I do on Twitch. Sorry for throwing a touchy-feely wrench in it. Nah, I think feelings are important, but I I think it's important to not lose touch with our feelings, especially because we're artists. And when art doesn't have emotion, it becomes like dry and stagnant and stale. And I can definitely, well, no, I won't, because then I mean, like, that would suck for my clients. But I could definitely point at many images that I have delivered that had no feeling in them, right? Like it's just, yeah. But at the same time, I do think that when it comes especially to commercial art, we have to kind of sometimes set emotions aside and understand that sometimes you just got to get the job done. I think one of the it's okay. One of the biggest slaps, and it's funny that we that apparently we now use slap as a positive thing, that we say this slaps and it's good. I would rather say this smacks, because smacks to me is like on the booty, which is good. Slaps, as far as I understand it, is on the face, which is not good. But anyway, that's totally neither here nor there. I think when you start working as a professional at the industry level, and this is like something that every single person here that has worked as an artist is gonna immediately say, oh yeah, so give me a sec. One of the things that slaps you in the face like the hardest right away is that first time you show your client different ideas for, you know, what they want, like the proposal, and they choose the one that you didn't want them to choose. They choose the one that you think is not the best one. They choose the one that makes you go, why the fuck did I even include that in the proposal? I didn't even like that idea. I just put it there to fill in. And you give them 4 options, and they go for the one you like the least. The most boring one, the one you were hoping they weren't going to choose, the one that makes you go like, why did you choose that? Why did I include it? What is wrong? What is life? What is the world? And I think that's one of the simplest and most common lessons that any professional artist will have in their life, of sort of removing emotion a little bit from what we do. Because, yeah, that's one of those moments when you have to go, okay, yeah, yeah, sure, yeah, you know, it is what it is, and that's what we'll do, and at the end, like that's that, and that is definitely, like, I don't realize it when I do it, but I notice afterwards. I include lesser versions because I think that it will make the better ones stand out as obviously better. But no, they always pick the bad. It's... I remember one time, Adam Duff, when I was studying with Adam Duff, he told me, like, don't send options to your client. Like, he told me, like, yeah, don't send options to your client. Just send, you know, just send one option, and that's it. And normally, I can't agree with that one. a lot of times my clients themselves just want several options, and I mean, I'm not going to tell them no. But then there's other times, and by the way, if you're watching, and I know you're not, but if you're watching, hey Adam, normally I do find myself wishing I had listened to Adam. Like, I just don't really see it working like that way. Like, I've had clients that specifically ask for more options, and I'm not going to tell them no. I have clients that I know expect more options. But sometimes I have listened to that advice and I've sent only one option, and it's worked out. And I should definitely give it more of a chance, right? Like give it more of a try. But yeah, that is definitely one of those things that just makes you go, oh, okay, yeah, I guess my opinion doesn't, the you know, I guess my opinion is not king. And it isn't. And that's that. Yeah, these guys are naked. I have to dress them up. I usually make my clients choose between two because that makes it easier for both of us. Some clients don't like choosing, but yeah, it depends on the client. It's just that as artists, it's always a good idea to explore several options. But in Adam's defense, his advice was actually you explore several options, you give your client one. Right? Like, the several options are for you, not for your client. They're for you. And I do think maybe I should listen a little bit more in that sense. But it's difficult. It's difficult. Also because it's how we were educated. I like nowadays I do explain to my students. I do try to explain to them, like, hey, you explore several options, but you show your client one. But I mean, anybody that's been a teacher knows that explaining those things is way easier than doing them. So, you know. I feel like the art world has changed so much personally in the last 10 years. Like, I don't know what advice I could give someone that's just starting out in art today. It's funny because I got invited to be a panelist on the 29th of April at the university. And the topic of the panel is literally wait, I'll just read it to you. Okay, I'll read it in Spanish and then I'll translate. Este año, el tema central de reflexión se denomina Universo Digital, distintas posibilidades de habitar el aquí y el ahora. El objetivo es que nos acompañe como panelista en el conversatorio Arte o No, en el cual se estará hablando de cómo los artistas han tenido que modificar sus métodos de difusión y creación tradicionales para incursionar en plataformas virtuales. Is that Designers Day? No, Designers Day was actually celebrated last week. It's actually a pretty funny story. I'll tell it to you in a second. Anyway, translation for those that don't speak Spanish. Basically, the panel that they want me to talk about is about how artists have had to modify their methods of creation and diffusion to be able to succeed on virtual platforms. No. Designers Day is still April 27. Designers Day is still April 27. Okay, so last week, the design faculty celebrated Designers Day. But Designers Day was not last week. It's April 27. Now, why did they celebrate it in March? Well, the university is doing this acreditación. How would you say that in English? How would you say acreditación in English? Acreditación. Translation. Accreditation. Well, that was... I don't know what I expected. Okay, so the university... Yeah, I don't know why I expected something fancier. I didn't expect it to just be the same word, but with an English accent. Like, yeah, just... My grandfather would say that speaking English was easy. That all you have to do... that all you have to do is sound like you're chewing bubblegum. And that's it. You got English. So, so anyway, the university has this accreditation process, and what happens is that for that process, okay, so the accreditation process is so that the university can increase its category. That allows the university to have more, well, for starters, it allows the university to charge more, but it also allows the university to do stuff like work with other universities and stuff like that, right? Like it does have some benefits. But anyway, that accreditation process involves something called pares académicos. And what pares académicos are is that they send people from another university to our university to evaluate it. So apparently, they're going to ask the people at the university, the students and the employees, about the process and the changes and everything that the university is doing in that accreditation process. The problem is that your average student or adjunct professor like I am doesn't know those things. So Designer Day is actually at the end of April, but they decided to celebrate it early so that they could put like a bunch of activities in Designer Day to teach the students and the adjunct professors about those things that we're going to be asked about. And the reason they did it early is because it's in 2 weeks that those people are going to be at the university asking questions and stuff like that. So it was kind of this sort of weird way of like, hey, look, we're having a party, and don't tell anybody that the party is actually just to teach you guys a bunch of stuff that we need you guys to know. Because, I mean, if you ask me, why would I, as an adjunct professor, know any of that? I just go, I give my hours, and that's it. No, but okay. No, there's none of that anymore, Mal. Sorry. That doesn't happen anymore. No more cake, no. No more cake, sorry. No, you didn't want any cake? All good with no cake? All right. Okay, how are we gonna dress these people? Okay, let's see. Welcome to the world of Safa. So what I do in these cases, so the idea here is that it's basically like a crowd of people walking away from a spaceport, right? Like, you know, they just arrived. And I have a color question for you. How do you think red seem brighter without going pink? Because full saturation red is not what I'm after. If it's more about the red is on top of, yes. So absolutely that. Basically, let's say we got this red. Let's go with this red. And we got this red, right? I'm going to put it a little bit further away. And we want to make it brighter. But we have the problem that, for example, Photoshop is going to limit a little bit. Like if we got right there, Photoshop is showing me which ones of these are not going to work very well. Do you know how to do that I just did, or do you want me to show you how to do it? Because Photoshop will actually limit your color palette to the colors that are going to work. Okay, so here's what you do. So Photoshop has a way that it will... You can tell Photoshop what you're planning to make your image for. So you can tell Photoshop, hey, this image is for printing, or you can tell Photoshop, hey, this image is for digital, right? And the way you do that is that you come up here where it says View, Proof Setup, and you can tell it, I want a working CMYK, or you can tell it, hey, I want a monitor RGB, right? So, for example, if it's going to be exclusively digital, you normally want to keep it on monitor RGB. But if you're going to print it, then you tell it that you want a working CMYK, right? So, let's say that you're going to print it. So you tell it working CMYK. Now, here's the thing. In Photoshop, you should never work in CMYK. That's something that happens a lot with people that are taught to use Photoshop for printing. That they work in Photoshop in CMYK, and you're actually never supposed to do that. You're never supposed to do that because Photoshop is made to work in RGB, and there's things it can't do in CMYK. So you want to always work in RGB. But what people don't know is that you can tell Photoshop that although you're working in RGB, you want it to show you as if it's going to be in CMYK or in monitor RGB. So what you do is you have it in RGB, you come here, you tell it what you're going to be working on, and then you press Control Y. And if you look up here, you'll see that it says RGB, but if I press Control Y, it's showing it to me in CMYK, right? It's showing it to me in CMYK, although I'm still working in RGB. Now, here's the thing. So I'm going to be seeing everything I do in CMYK, but it's working in RGB. So when you open your color palette here, you can press Control-Shift-Y. In this case, I deactivated it, but Control-Shift-Y, and it will limit the colors to what will work in what you told it it's going to be. So in this case, since I'm doing it in CMYK, which is for printing in a digital printer, it limits my color palette by what a digital printer is capable of doing, what a CMYK printer is capable of doing or not. And look how different the colors are, right? When you have that, right? Like there's so many colors that are not gonna print. So this limits those colors, and you... Now, again, this is by pressing Control-Shift-Y. If you want to remove it, you can do that. Now, on the other hand, if you're going to leave it digital, you tell it, okay, we're going to do this in monitor RGB. So now it has that, and you can, limit your colors as well. And as you can see, it still has limitations. Why is it defaulted to CMYK? Because normally people are, or at least within the classic usage of these programs, these things are meant to print in digital printers, right? So, so that's kind of the default. So anyway, in monitor RGB, you can see that it's also limiting that, right? And so basically it's showing me things the way it's gonna look and what would end up being the thing, right? So that being said, when we have these two reds, you kind of want to avoid, you can't pick reds from over here because they're just not gonna print well. So, you pick a red, whatever, and you have it there. And so you basically, you need those reds to look brighter. And the way it goes is basically, if you have this red on, if you have this red on a warm background, let's put that, let's say here. You have this red on a warm background, and you put this red on a green background, which you can desaturate. Basically, warm on cold is going to look brighter than warm on warm, right? So you want to lower the saturation and make the background cold. It's the reason that they put meats on like greenery, like when you go to the butcher shop, because I don't know, for some reason you live in an old medieval town where there's still like a butcher shop. I don't know. When you go to the butcher, they normally have the meat like with something green around it. Is this where grays get really important? So much in that class, because gray, like neutral gray, has a property that when I say neutral gray, I mean like gray that is just no color at all, has this thing that if you surround it by cold, the gray becomes warm. But if you surround it by warm, the gray becomes cold. And so if we're not talking about absolute gray, it's still going to do that, right? Like it's still going to change depending on what is surrounding it. I'll show you a very interesting example here. That mostly has to do because, okay, come on, open up. Here we go. Here we go. And here we go. So for example, here we go. So for example, this image right here, I don't actually know where this image is from, but this image right here has no red in it. There's no red in this image. This image is absolutely blue and green. And all the things in this image that you see as red are actually gray. Right? And I can prove it. Right? If you look at the color picker over here, I'm just going to move it towards the color picker so you don't have to, so you can see both at the same time. But look what happens when I start moving around. See? There's no red in the image. There's greens and blues. No red. At no moment does it go into red. Right? And so there's two reasons for this. One is that the gray surrounded by blues and greens becomes warm. And the other reason is context. Basically, we know that this is an image of strawberries. Our brain knows that strawberries are supposed to be red. So when we look at the image, our brain basically goes, oh, that should be red, and it makes it red. No, none of that. None of that. No, it's basically gray will tend to the opposite temperature of whatever surrounds it, and our brain will make adjustments according to context. So if we zoom in a lot, we see that the red gets lost. Right? Like there's no red there. But once we zoom out, it becomes red. Because it's a strawberry. If we invert it, look, that technically the opposite happens. Right? Like the grays in this case become bluish. Okay, wait. So is monitor RGB the most accurate for web? Because changing to that mode vastly changes my image. Now I don't trust what I painted to show what I want. Monitor RGB is kind of the profile, but I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I don't use it. I normally just keep it in CMYK. But I don't pre-visualize it in CMYK. I just keep it in RGB and don't pre-visualize it in anything because I don't normally print. If you do have, I will say that if you are having problems with monitor calibration, as in like if you feel that the image that you're getting is very different from the image that you're seeing on screen, normally what you want to pay attention to is well, first of all, if your monitor is calibrated correctly, and but normally we know if our monitors are giving us trouble. Like for example, I had one monitor before I replaced these. I had one monitor that just, you can't trust the colors on that monitor. They're always too light. Juan Guerra, you asked if I had left Clip Studio Paint as well. Yes, I did. I got a new computer. I forgot to export my brushes, and so Clip Studio Paint just stopped kind of working for me. I couldn't get it back to the way it was when I was using it before, and I could get Photoshop. Wait, there's another very fun one, Nightcal, but this one I can give. Well, I mean, I have to give credit for everything, but this one I can absolutely say where it's from. This one is from James Gurney, and his book, Color and Light. Right? So from James Gurney's Color and Light, there's this image, and this is color relativity. And basically, this square right here is actually the same color as this square right here. So if that gray blew your mind, see, color relativity is very important for us artists because it's very, very important that we stop thinking about colors as something absolute. But colors are like the entire image influences how we see color, right? There's another one that was very, very popular. That actually, that whole thing is a few years ago. You remember this, right? So this was a few years ago, and this is the whole, like that whole issue of if it was white and black or blue and white and gold or blue and black and stuff like that. That was actually it. It was an issue of color relativity. And this is like a much more interesting example of that. Again, I don't have the credit for this image, but if you look at it, right, like why did I never get shown this in college? I say this as a college professor, okay? Fuck it. As far as the arts go, college is just like you're going to college for the diploma. That's it. And when it comes to being an artist, you don't really need it anyway. I mean, by all means, go to college if you want to study medicine or law or something like that. But for the arts, I don't really think it's necessary. If it were cheap, that would be one thing. But it isn't. Mo, you usually use your phone screen for the final image. I think it's very important for all digital artists to have what I like to call a trusted screen. And basically, it's a screen that is not the screen that you're working on, that you trust how the colors are going to look on that one, right? So that is the screen that you measure your colors off of. And I do think that normally cell phones have a very trustworthy color profile, but there's several things to keep in mind if you're using your cell phone as your trusted color checker thing, right? And Why not the screen you're working on? The reason you don't want to trust the screen you're working on is because the screen you're working on is the one that you're looking at all the time. And so, okay. So, the way the brain works is that... Okay, the human brain is an incredibly underpowered computational system, right? And so... I'm definitely using my own language here. Like a neuroscientist might hear me and go like, what the fuck? But the human brain is an incredibly underpowered computational system. And what happens with the human brain is that the human brain is actually not capable of processing all the visual information that comes in through the eyes. So... normally what you see, the brain is bringing in stuff that it already has in there, right? And that's kind of how the brain manages to process all the visual information. The brain focuses on what you're focused on, and the rest the brain actually puts together from what you're seeing. There's actually a little kind of trick that I enjoy a lot that proves this. I'll show it to you. Basically, what we're gonna do, you can do this at home. You can follow along. So what we're gonna do is we're going to make a circle, and we're gonna give that circle I'm gonna make it thinner. There, right? So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna center this. Okay. So this is a little interactive thing that we're gonna do. I'm gonna center this as well. And okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna blur out this circle. Oh, not so much. Around there. I'm gonna lower the opacity a little bit. Okay. So the way this works is that your brain will handle information by what it considers to be relevant, right? And what it considers to be of more importance. So if you have this on your screen right now, focus on the blue dot and get close to the screen. And as long as you're focused on the blue dot, the black circle will disappear, right? Like, yep, the black circle disappears. And the reason that happens is because it's not distinct enough from the background. So when you focus on the blue circle, your brain is pretty much building the rest of the image from what it's already got. And since it doesn't consider, like, since it's not that distinct from the background, your brain doesn't bring it in. So it's the same thing. I'm pretty sure you've probably seen the whole thing where okay, so you know that there's a hole in your eye, right? Like the way the eye is made is that the optic nerve goes right through the eye, and so everybody has in each one of their eyes literally a hole, right? So the reason you have a trusted screen that isn't the one you work on is so that we see it with fresh eyes. Yes, that's it. It's because not only is it a screen that you trust exclusively for that, but it's also a different screen. So that's the same reason we flip our image, right? Like, we flip our image because our brain gets very used to things, and so our brain kind of stops seeing details and mistakes in it. But it's very, very easy to trick our brain into thinking that something is brand new, just flipping it is going to do that. And just looking at your image on a different screen is going to do that as well. So have you guys ever seen the one that's showing the hole that you have in your eye? That we have in our eyes. Shouldn't speak like my eyes or some sort of superior. Like you inferior humans have holes in your eyes, and like mine, holeless eyes. Okay, so the way it goes, Mal, is that the optic nerve actually goes through the eye. So, everybody has, in each one of their eyes, an area where there's literally a hole. And what your brain does is that it fills it in with information that either it has from what surrounds it or from the other eye. And the proof of that... Wait, let me find it. Where do I have that image? Come on, I love that image. Wait, I'll just Google it. Eye hole. Let me see if this one is gonna show it. Okay, wait. Let me find it. I don't know why I don't have it here in my folder. Here we go. So the way it works is... let me grab this image. Copy image. Just gonna bring it in here. Okay, so the way this one works is that, so we all have a blind spot, right? We all have a blind spot in our eyes. And the way this exercise works, and this is gonna make Sabrina laugh because a ton of people around the world are gonna be doing this. So what you do is you choose one of the two to look at, and you cover your eye on that side. So, for example, if I choose to look at the cross, which is the left side, I cover my left eye and look at it with my right eye. And then I move closer and further away, and at a certain point, the dot is going to disappear. And it works also for the opposite side. If I choose to look at the dot, then I cover my right eye, I look at it with my left eye, and I move here. At this exact point where I am from the screen, I can't see the cross. It just... And it's not even subtle. Like, it's not even like, oh, it kind of... No, it just... Bam! Like, it just disappears. Like, it's not even subtle. You cover your eye, you move back and forth, and suddenly it disappears. Like, just bam, disappears. And that's because it is exactly where your blind spot is. But since you're covering the eye that's going to give that extra information, your brain fills in the blind spot with the other information in the image that doesn't come from the other eye, and so that's just white, so your brain just whites it out. This has actually nothing to do with the blind spot, but I just saw here in my folder, like, the other optical illusion that I love, and it's basically the argument for focal points, right? And why you have to use focal points, and why you can't put too many focal points in your image, and it's because your brain is actually not able to process more than 3 at a time, I think it is, or 4. Basically, this image has, I think it's 4. This image has 12 dark dots on it. But at any given time, you're not able to see more than 4. Like there's 12 dots. There's one here, one here, one here, one here. There's 3 lines of 4 dots, or 4 lines of 3 dots, depending on how you look at it. But at any given moment, you're not able to see more than 4. Like, you can look at the image as much as you like, but you can never see all 12. Oh, sure, I'll upload it to Discord, no problem. I'm gonna upload it to... I'm gonna upload it to Art Tutorials. There you go. I also uploaded hello Pew. Oh, check this one out. This one out is like super. This one is a very good argument for color management. Basically, if you stare at the dot for a little bit, the colors disappear. Like, our brains can't process this much color, so the color disappears. You just stare at the dot. And the color starts to disappear. It's... How are you, Pew? Oh yeah, it doesn't become white. It doesn't become white. It is odd how it is odd how dependent our brains are on visual information and how bad they are at processing visual information. I don't like that clothing. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna finish the other characters and then I'll add clothing. Well, I mean, brain. It is what it is, you know. Brains have their limitations and all that kind of stuff. But for us artists, I think it's a matter of learning to manipulate those things, and I think that's a lot of fun, right? That is composition, and it's one of the reasons I love composition so much, and I love talking about composition so much, because composition is basically about learning how to play with the brain, right? You're learning how to tell people where to look and stuff like that. One exercise that I like, but it's very difficult to do on purpose. Maybe we can make it into an art challenge, if you guys like. But one exercise that I like very much is hiding something in an image. Right, because if you handle focal points, you can hide stuff in an image. And let me just do a little bit of homework here so I can reference what I'm gonna show you guys. So I can give credit, because this is not my image. This image is from damn, come on, Google Images, you got this. You got this. Okay, this image that I'm going to show you is Jeff Johnson? Okay, yeah, this is from Fantasy Flight Games, Arkham Horror Book by Jeff Johnson. And I love this image because if you look at this image, uh, do I still hide a little ninja in my images? No, I hide my signature. I hide my signature. The little ninja, no, because my clients are a little bit mm, uh more serious about that kind of thing. Uh so with a lot of my clients, I know that if they found the ninja, I'd probably get in trouble. Right? Like uh for example, it's still another month before I can tell. Like I'm working on some tabletop role playing games with licensed IPs. I can't say which ones they are, but I think in May I can. Um, and for example, that's like with the movie studio and stuff like that, and I can't say what it is, but just imagine like you're working for this movie license tabletop role playing game with the movie studio, and suddenly they find the ninja like the image. Yeah, that's gonna get you in trouble. So I kind of had to let go of that. But I do still hide my signature. My signature is still hidden in every single image. Um, my personal work, I'm ashamed to admit, one, that I haven't done personal work for a while. Um, yeah. So anyway, yeah, I love the idea of hiding stuff in an image. Okay. It's funny because my initial plan at the beginning of this year was actually to do a lot more personal work, but I guess that's what happens with plans. You make plans and they exist so that they can not work out. Right? that's that's what plans are. It's basically they exist so that they don't work out. That's what it is. So yeah, I had very very big plans of like doing a lot of personal stuff this year and increasing my personal stuff, and I've basically ended up not doing any personal stuff at all so far. Um, but it's all good. It's all good. Maybe this one is a little bit too long. Sorry, too short. And I'm gonna have to move that character up a little bit. Yeah, something like that. This race is called Capri. And I need to make their legs longer. Yeah, there we go. Okay, Juan. So nice to see you, man. Thanks for stopping by. Well. Oh, okay. I never actually closed it. Wait. I accidentally closed it, but it's a good thing that I always have two windows open. So here we go again. How have I been liking the new screen setup? I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's these screens are so beautiful. It's just I absolutely love it. The 1440 resolution, you know, in video and internet and reading and stuff is very noticeable. Like, you know, when I'm on the internet, when I'm watching YouTube, all those kind of things, super noticeable. The font is just so much crisper, and YouTube videos look way better. It's just really noticeable. But I have to admit, in gaming, I don't see that much of a difference. Like, like not gonna lie, like that. Holy crap! How was I gaming? Like, no. In gaming, I don't really see that much of a difference. In gaming, it does not feel that different. I play, you know, I play my games in 1440 now because, I mean, I got a 1440 monitor. Might as well. But they really don't look that different. And before anybody says so, like, wait, how tall are these things? Wait. How tall are they? Okay, Wanderers. The Wandering People, Insectoid Origins, Mysterious People, Peaceable. How tall are they? How tall is a Wanderer? I don't know. I'm just gonna make them big. I'm just gonna make them big. Let's hope they're that big. Okay. So yeah. When it comes to gaming, I really don't notice the difference. And before anybody says so, like, yeah, you know, it's the monitors are connected through the display port, all that stuff. You know, because if you don't connect it through the display port, you're not gonna get the resolution or anything like that. So. Okay. So this species that I'm drawing here is called a wanderer. And it's like this very, very interesting insectoid species. And unfortunately, the book doesn't point out how big they are. I wonder if I can look it up on the internet. Let's see. Let's see. Traveler. RPG. Wandering. People. I have a PC-related question. I want to add more SSD memory to mine, but don't know if it's easy enough that I could just order it and install it myself, mostly because I don't want to go out with my PC. You mean you want an extra hard drive? Like you want an extra solid-state hard drive? Because if that's the case, yeah, it's super easy to install. I mean, you are going to have to open your PC and move around a little bit of cables, but your average PC tower is going to have the connections necessary. Like, I've had up to like 6 hard drives connected, and I swap them in and out all the time and stuff like that. You're actually not going to need any nude. You actually... Remember Che? That Che would actually literally get naked to open her PC tower because she was afraid of static. I love you, Che. Where are you? I haven't spoken to you in a while. But anyway, yeah, you're just gonna need the tools to open up your PC tower if it needs any tools. Like mine doesn't. So I mean, most PC towers don't even need tools to open them up. Anyway, swapping hard drives, putting in extra hard drives, stuff like that, super easy. Super easy. Not complicated at all. Definitely not the kind of thing that you're going to need to, take your computer to a shop or anything like that. When you do it, I'll gladly show you. Give me a second. I'm sorry. I have to send a message to my father. Don't worry. Nothing bad. Give me a sec. Oh, I'm playing tonight. Well, not RimWorld though, but I am playing tonight. Um, um, right now, I'm playing. Okay, we've probably spoken about this before. I have this thing that I cannot focus on just one game. Maybe it's because I'm hyperactive or whatever, but I'm just not capable of focusing on one singular game. So right now I'm playing Elden Ring, Shadow of War, and I was playing something else. Risk of Rain 2. I was playing something else. What else was I playing? Elden Ring, Shadow of War, Risk of Rain 2. Oh, and just this morning on a break, I was trying to get No Man's Sky to work in VR, and I have not been able to. Like, I just, no. I have not been able to get it to work in VR. It always, because No Man's Sky had an update today, and it is looking amazing. And I was like, well, you know, my computer's beefy enough that I'm pretty sure I can play it in VR. So I tried to play it in VR, and I just cannot get it to start in VR. It always just starts on the regular screen. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. My brother and I brought Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. But man, I don't know what it is about those anime games that have those long reading tutorials. Instead of playable tutorials, you just get a huge wall of text every 2 steps in the game. I've heard, but I'll wait and see what you think of this, Mao. Okay, so here's the thing. People have always told me that Dragon Ball's story is actually very, very good, and that the problem is editing, right? That you know, that's just very, very poorly edited. It's too long-winded, all that kind of stuff. So I've heard that a great way to actually enjoy the story is well, first of all, Dragon Ball Abridged, I think it is. But the thing is, the animation's a little bit old, and I'm not very big on the art style. I'm not huge into the art style. But then the game is very beautiful. And I heard, somebody told me that the game is actually the best way to experience the Dragon Ball story. That the game is kind of like the Dragon Ball story, and that it's just the perfect way to experience the Dragon Ball story. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I was told by somebody that is actually a Dragon Ball fan, like, hey, you know, play the game, and you're gonna get the Dragon Ball story in a very, very awesome format. It's gonna look beautiful. and it's like just the best way to experience the Dragon Ball story. So yeah. Look out for that and let me know what you think. Are we going to the movies this weekend? I would like to. I would like to go to the movies this weekend. I don't know what we'll watch. I guess it depends on what's available. I want to watch the D&D movie, but unfortunately the D&D movie is very difficult to find with subtitles. But then again, I also want to watch the Mario movie, but I'm pretty sure that one's going to be very difficult to find without subtitles as well. So I think in the end, we're just going to watch whatever we find without subtitles. sorry, with subtitles. With subtitles. I've heard good things about the Mario movie. I've also heard good things about the D&D movie, so this is a great time to be me. Okay. Okay, what else do we have in this list of aliens? We got, okay, that's the Wandering People. Yeah, the that animation studio. What's its name again? Is it Illumination? No. Is it Illumination? I forget the name of that animation studio. They are knocking it out of the park. With their movies. And they're movies that I'm not I have no interest in watching the Minions movie, for example, but that movie did so well. I mean, whatever. I'm not interested in Minions, but yeah, that movie did so well. I think the studio is called Illumination, but I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure you guys know. Oh, okay, it is Illumination. Yeah, they are really just knocking it out every single time. Good for them. Good for them. Meanwhile, Disney announces live action Moana, and I'm like, ugh. Come on, dude, really? And I liked Moana. Moana was fun. Do we really need live action Moana? I'm a little Okay, but this is me not being objective. I'm a little okay with the live action Moana. Moana's 7 years old. So yeah. I'm a little okay with the live action Moana because they're actually gonna have The Rock in it. So, you know, cool. Cool that The Rock is gonna be in it. But that's about it. Like other than that, it's like, oh, come on, man. Do we really do we really need live action Moana? Oh, and the one that like I am like they're gonna do live action Lilo and Stitch, which again is like, really? Live action Lilo? No, come on, man. That's one of Pew's favorite movies. Leave Lilo and Stitch alone. This is not gonna end well. But yeah, they're gonna do a live action Lilo and Stitch. I'm very intrigued by, like, but that's my thing. Like with all these live action remakes, I'm always curious about how this or that is gonna look. I'm always disappointed though. Like it's never enough to carry. Like it's never enough to justify the movie's existence for me. But with Lilo and Stitch, I'm like, okay, I'm curious what Stitch is gonna look like in a live action remake of Lilo and Stitch. But that's it. Like that's it. That's all I got. They are remaking Last Unicorn. Oh, why would you remake Last Unicorn? I mean, Last Unicorn doesn't look amazing, but I don't know. That one isn't even Disney, I think. So we can't even blame Disney for that one. Yeah, that's the one with Tom Cruise. Now, I would be all for it if it was like old Tom Cruise. Like that, I would be all for that. Like old Tom Cruise in Oh, wait, yeah, I'm confusing it with Legend. Wouldn't that be awesome though? Like a remake of Legend, but now it's Tom Cruise as an old man. That would be pretty cool. I'd be in for that one. Wait, Sabrina. So, was your favorite movie The Last Unicorn or Legend? Because when I saw Legend quite recently with Pew, I was thinking that was your favorite movie. But was I just confusing it with The Last Unicorn and that's actually your favorite movie? You wouldn't say favorite. Okay, if you were gonna get a tattoo, which of the two movies would you get tattooed? Wait, but that one is what's his name? Dan Bluth, is it? Wait, am I getting that name right? The guy that did Dragon's Lair, right? Don Bluth. No, he's not Last Unicorn? Man, I am lost. I love his animation style, though. So they're making a live-action remake of it, and this isn't Disney, right? Or did they buy it and now they're... I just hate Disney remakes. Like, when I saw The Jungle Book, I was like, okay, it's not that bad. When I saw The Lion King, I was like, that was the most unnecessary thing I've seen in my life. And then when I saw Aladdin, I was like, please never do this again. Like, just never, never, ever do this again. And now we got Little Mermaid coming up, and oh, that one is going to be... Peter Pan, I don't have such a problem with, because there's so many versions of Peter Pan that, like, I'm kind of used to seeing Peter Pan being made and remade in 1,000 different ways. You know, like I've seen so many Peter Pan movies and versions and stuff like that. It's, yeah, whatever. Remake Peter Pan. I don't give a shit. It's Peter Pan. Everybody has a version of Peter Pan. So, whatever. Like, another version of Peter Pan. Yeah, throw it into the bin with all the other versions. We all know Hook is the best one. But... Hey, there you go, Mom. But the live action Little Mermaid, that looks so... I don't want to say bad, I just want to say not good. Like, it just looks... It looks so bland. The only thing I'm looking forward to in that movie is Melissa McCarthy as Ursula, because I mean, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Melissa McCarthy as Ursula. That I'm looking forward to. I think I should tighten this up a little bit. Where's the... Yeah, I think I need to tighten this up a little bit. I'd say there. Am I excited for the Spider-Verse sequel? Yes and no. I am definitely going to watch it, but I have not seen any trailers or anything about it, and I kind of don't want to. I like Spider-Man. Uh, I like Spider-Man. I'm not like Mal, right? Like I'm not a like, you know, the ultimate Spider fan. I like Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man just fine. Um, but but so when it comes to Spider-Verse, I'm kind of like um the first Spider-Verse movie was such a pleasant surprise. Um the first Spider-Verse movie was a very pleasant surprise. I am willing to let the second one surprise me. But I have a confession to make, and I realized it. Just last week, actually. I realized it. I hate multiverses. And I don't mean I hate a specific multiverse. I hate multiverses. Like using... I hate that there's like 1,000 versions of Spider-Man. Why are there so many versions of Spider-Man? Look, Spider-Man's awesome. Great. Whatever. Why? Like, if everybody can be Spider-Man, then what's the point of Spider-Man? Like we don't need... And I know that it's like, okay, but what about Miles Morales? And what about... Yeah, I get it. Like... I just... Like, okay, you know, I it's like, to me, it's like, okay, we got Peter Parker and okay, I guess I can get on board with Miles Morales and okay, oh wow, okay, so many like... I thought Spider-Man... Wait, which one was it? Oh, I hate the naming on those movies, and they're so much fun. But okay, so it's Spider-Man Homecoming, then it's Far From Home, and I think the third one is No Way Home, which, by the way, whoever came up with those names needs to be slapped. And not as in, oh, it slaps. No, I mean as in slap them in the face. That is not good naming convention. It is confusing. And I think Spider-Man No Way Home was fun, but I am not on board with, oh, look, here's all the Spider-Men. It's like, look. It was fun. It was fun to see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, which is my favorite of the three. Andrew Garfield is my favorite Spider-Man of the three, or at least the one I feel that is the most Peter Parker to me. But yeah. Look, the only multiverse movie that I have liked in the sense of the concept of the multiverse is Everything Everywhere All at Once. But yeah, I'm just not... No, I don't like multiverses and stuff like that. And it's like, how many spider people are we gonna get this time? Look, no, I'm sorry, everybody can't be Spider-Man. Okay, have you guys ever heard of the theory that every single living organism eventually evolves into a crab? Have you guys ever heard of that? Okay. It's like that, but with Spider-Man. It's like, no, I'm sorry, but every single... It's like every single comic book character eventually becomes Spider-Man. Or Batman. Like, if it's DC, every single comic character eventually becomes Batman. And if it's Marvel, every single character eventually becomes Spider-Man. It's... No. I'm sorry. I've got Peter Parker, and I'll give you my Miles Morales, okay? Because Miles Morales is cool and stuff like that. And although, if I'm being honest, if you told me, okay, you take all of the Spider people and you only get to keep one, then I'm gonna have to go with Spider-Gwen. Because, first of all, one of the best costume designs Marvel has. Second, she's like my Marvel waifu. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to keep Spider-Gwen. So, like, if I'm being objective, we'd either keep Peter Parker or Miles Morales, but Spider-Gwen. Spider-Gwen. Every day. Twice on Sundays. Yeah, Spider-Gwen is where it's at. But yeah, I so anyway, yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it. I already know I'm gonna watch it, so that's good enough for me. I'll watch it, and that's it. You watch Shyamalan's Knock at the Cabin. We like Dave Bautista in a more serious role. I like Dave Bautista. He's I like him. I'm pretty sure that's not very relevant. like I'm pretty sure Mr. Bautista was not sitting there waiting to see if I like him or not. But just in case you were wondering, Mr. Bautista, I like you. I especially like Drax. Like, Drax, to me, okay, I am done with Marvel movies. I have not seen Wakanda Forever, and it's right there on Disney Plus. Like, I can watch it tonight if I wanted to. But I'm like, it feels like homework at this point. It feels like homework at this point. All right, shit, I gotta watch Wakanda Forever. So like, I'll get to it maybe someday. I mean, right then and there, I think Black Panther, the first movie, is incredibly overrated. I don't think it's even very good. So I'll get to it eventually. I'm a little bit more curious about Ant-Man and the Wasp multiverse, but again, multiverse. And again, I'll get to it when I get to it. Like, when it comes to Disney Plus, maybe I'll sit down one afternoon and watch Wakanda Forever, and then watch Ant-Man and the Wasp multiverse of no, wait, I don't even remember what it's called. Miniverse, multiverse, whatever verse. So yeah, I'll get to them eventually. But I am a little bit into the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I actually was not into the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I didn't like it. I didn't like the second Guardians of the Galaxy. And I absolutely hate that all the Marvel movies became comedies, right? Like, I'm not into that either. But I feel like Guardians of the Galaxy was already a comedy to begin with. Like, that one has always been, like, comedic, so... As a matter of fact, I actually blame Guardians of the Galaxy in very big part for all the Marvel movies becoming comedies, because Guardians of the Galaxy did it, and then every other movie thought that it had to be a comedy as well. I do like Thor Ragnarok, but watching the old Marvel movies, it's kind of sad what happened to Thor, considering that Thor was not a comedy before, and it, you know... But Guardians of the Galaxy was originally a comedy, so I'm into that. And anyway, the reason I was mentioning it is because Drax is probably my favorite Batista character. I love Drax. Drax is the reason I watch Guardians of the Galaxy. Drax and Rocket Raccoon. I love Rocket Raccoon. I think Rocket is awesome. So yeah, I'm into Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm very, very intrigued about what is going on with Nebula in Guardians of the Galaxy, because they keep showing that image of Nebula in Guardians of the Galaxy, and as much as whatever her name, the actress of Nebula, says, I'm sorry, that's not her body. There is no way that is her body. So I'm very, very intrigued about what happens with Nebula in that movie, because that is not her body. I'm sorry. You haven't seen the image of Nebula in Guardians of the Galaxy? Wait, I'm gonna show you. Nebula Guardians. Oh my god. Okay, of the Galaxy 3. I'm gonna show you. Yes. Okay, wait. I'm gonna find the. Let me find an image. Here we go. Let me see if this is big enough. So she says it's the way she was posing. She says it's the way she was posing. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. That is not her body. Should I call you Nebula from now on? So basically, she said that it was because of the way she was posing, right? That's what she said. That she was posing. That she thought. She said that she was posing and that she thought that pose would look sexy, and that it just turned out that way. And the thing is, no. No. That's not her body. Karen Gillan is looks awesome as Nebula. She looks really, really good. So, look. She is like Nebula is like this used to be Nebula, and this is Nebula now. Like you've changed. Nebula, you've changed. Um, so I don't know. Like I'm wondering. Okay, is she just gonna look like Karen Gillan, or however you pronounce her last name? Is she gonna look like her? Um, in the movie, and this is just like some weird thing they're doing for the poster, or is because it's Nebula, like is her body gonna get destroyed and they're gonna swap out her body for like that would be my bet, that maybe in the movie her body gets destroyed and she gets like a new body, but it's that body. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. I also think that Mantis used to look sexier, but that's just because they covered her all up. But you know, but whatever. You know, it's okay, whatever. I like Mantis. She's cute. So I'm very intrigued. I'm very intrigued. But even then, it's not like Marvel movies used to be, that it was like, I feel like Marvel movies used to be, when you would ask somebody about a Marvel movie, like Endgame and stuff like that, it was a matter of not if you're gonna watch it, but when you're gonna watch it, right? It was like must watch. Like everybody has to watch Endgame. It's a cultural phenomenon and stuff like that. And Marvel movies went from that to, I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it if I get a chance. Like if I got nothing to do. Okay, Sabrina, see you Friday. Thanks for stopping by. Hope your day ends soon. This week I found out there was a season of Rick and Morty I hadn't seen yet. And it was like a Christmas present for me. Have you seen it? I've only watched, I'm way behind on Rick and Morty. I've only seen up until season 4. By the way, Mal, have you played High on Life? Okay, High on Life is a first-person shooter made by the Rick and Morty people. It's actually quite funny, and it's actually a very good game. It's a very fun game. I recommend it. It's called High on Life. It's this first-person shooter, and one of like the basic premises of the game is that your guns talk. Like your guns are all these beings that are guns. So they have little faces on them and they talk. And the voice of your gun is Morty. Like I mean, it's not the character Morty, but it is the voice of Morty. They like, it's the same voice. It's the same voice and the same attitude and all that kind of stuff. It is really, really fun. So yeah, I recommend that game. It is. It is. It is very funny. It got a few laughs out of me. So I recommend it. I find that there's very little that I will definitely watch no matter what. Okay. For me, that I will definitely watch no matter what. Can't even say Guillermo del Toro because Guillermo del Toro has disappointed me on a couple of occasions. I didn't like Crimson Peak. I still haven't watched the one where a woman fucks a fish. The other one he did more recently before Pinocchio, I haven't even watched that one. I used to be like a huge Del Toro fan, and I would still like he's still the director I would dream to work with, but can't even say Del Toro. No. No, I can't think of anything I would watch no matter what. No. No. Hadn't even thought about that, but no. I can't say there's anything I would watch unconditionally. Like, yeah, I'm gonna watch the D&D movie because D&D. I gotta watch the D&D movie, but even then, I'm not wishing. I'm not wishing. Sorry, I'm not even willing to watch the D&D movie if I can't find it without subtitles. Music is such a different experience now for me that I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I'm I mean I love music, of course I do. I mean, who doesn't, right? But I'm an 80s kid and a 90s teenager. The musical experience is so different from what it was for me back then that I find that as much as I love music, it doesn't make me feel the same way that it did. And I don't mean the music, right? Like the music is still very enjoyable, but I miss so much back when we would buy CDs. It was just such a, I don't know, it was such an integral part of the experience. The whole the CDs and all that kind of stuff. Which is funny because with the way music is handled nowadays, I have access to so much more music. But I used to find the experience so much more enjoyable. So I love music, never gonna stop listening to music. Which sounds weird, right? Like if somebody said like I don't like music, like, oh, what music? No, just music in general. I don't like it. It's like, what the fuck are you, Grendel? Like, but oh man, and one of the things that made me think about that a lot is this semester we did an exercise with the students where they had to do like an LP cover and a cassette case. Part of the experience was explaining to these kids what a cassette is and how it worked, because yeah, they didn't know. At one moment this semester, I actually had to explain to a student the difference between a video cassette and an audio cassette, because she didn't know that they were two different things. Right? She didn't know that they were two different things. When we asked them like if they had any cassettes at home, she said that yes, that at her house they had cassettes of with videos of when she was born. I'm like, no, that's a different thing. That's a different thing, sweetie. That's a different thing. So, but in that whole exercise, I like one of my main feelings was, you guys missed out on such a fun time. Like it was. It wasn't so much like you know the old man yells at clouds like it was better in my time. No, it was more like such a bummer that you guys didn't get to live through buying CDs and having cassettes and going to Blockbuster or wherever it was that you rented videos. It's such a what a bummer that you guys didn't get that. That was such a fun time. And oh well. Sucks to be you. So yeah, I never realized how much I miss that from music until this year, right? Like until we started doing that with the students. I was like, oh man, this was such a great part of the experience for me. However said, there are some music groups that I will definitely listen to no matter what, but that's just as long as they entertain me. As soon as they fail, I'm out. Right now, I think my absolute favorite music group would have to be the Interrupters. But even then, like, hey, if you guys screw it up, I'm out. Like, I don't owe any loyalty to the Interrupters. If they screw it up, I'm out. But I do love the Interrupters. I highly recommend them. If you're into ska at all, which, you know, I am. You guys know that. I do have something to watch no matter what. Your art streams, unless you fuck up. Don't fuck up. Oh, do you miss Scott? But Nat Class, have you listened to the Interrupters? Because if not, they are current and they are good. Give me a song to listen to. Okay. Okay, wait. I want to make sure I get the names right. Oh, Real Big Fish. Real Big Fish is so much fun. But when it comes to ska, I prefer the Interrupters in terms of just musical quality, right? The Interrupters, I think, is I love Real Big Fish, of course. But I just love the Interrupters kind of has more of that rebellious ska feeling. Like Real Big Fish is good for fun, but the Interrupters has that like rebel ska thing. So Nat class. From the Interrupters, I would recommend On a Turntable. On a Turntable is very, very good. Their cover of Billie Eilish's Bad Guy, I actually like it better than the original. I'm not being objective, of course, because I love ska so much. But their cover of Bad Guy is really good. I love Raised by Wolves, but Raised by Wolves is not very ska. But I love Raised by Wolves. It's one of my favorite by them. Basically, the popular list on Spotify is very solid. Like I would recommend the popular list on Spotify. You know those top 10 that they show on Spotify? It's a very solid listen. I would highly recommend that. I mean, just guiding yourself with that. That works for me. I love it. I love the Interrupters. It's definitely my favorite group right now. It scratches that ska itch, but it's a little bit more modern. And it's definitely leaning more into that punk part because my favorite kind of ska is ska punk. So it's got that because I love Real Big Fish. Like Real Big Fish is one of my favorite groups as well. But the Interrupters has like that rebellious part of ska, you know, the part where you're against the system and you're fighting the power and all that kind of stuff. That is like the Interrupters. You know, it's like that ska punk, fight the power, be against the system, all that kind of stuff, and I love it. I absolutely love it. Ska plus punk is skunk. I'm okay with that, man, with no screen name and hello. Now, please don't take this personally, man, with no screen name, but as I say hello, I also say goodbye. Because it is 5 p.m. So, that's gonna be it from me today. It was fun. I'm glad to be back. Sorry for those cancellations over the past few days. But I will see you on Friday. I might be working on this image, depending on how I'm doing, because I want to finish this cover this week. So I might be working. This is a cover, by the way. So I might be working on this on Friday, but I will be here on Friday. So I will see you all then. Until then, thank you everybody for hanging out with me. It's good to be back. Golem is here to say hello. Golem, you wanna come say hello? Hey, Golem. Yeah, there you go. Oh, okay. Here for a spanking. Ah, come on, camera. Don't be that way. Do you see how the camera just cut him out? What a racist camera. Oh, wow. Okay. Anyway. Like I was saying, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you will hang out with me on Friday. So, until then, you have been watching the Ministry of Abnormality YouTube live broadcast. I'm your host, Abnormal, and today has been Wednesday, April 5th of 2023. Again, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for hanging out. I will see you Friday, and until then, good hunting, stay naughty, and goodbye. Golem? Golem, don't take that personally. It's just because you're so deep black. You're like I was gonna say you're like a black hole, but that just makes me think of your butt. So let's not go there. Um, but anyway, yeah, you're just so mysterious and stuff. The camera doesn't really know what to do with you. It's no, it happens. It happens. Anyway, I guess. I guess it's time for some Elden Ring.